because I haven't seen the final episode yet. So
Yeah, what happened? What Luthen? Man, he's such a great character because like he's so conflicted and he's so confused, right? He's trying his best. He's trying his best, but he's so confused about where he's actually aligned. It's going back to D&D, chaotic neutral and chaotic good or whatever. But
you
where
know
would
what?
what do you think his alignment would be D&D wise?
He is okay. Sorry. He is lawful good.
Whoa, really?
Oh, he is, because this is the thing that people don't think about for lawful good. People think lawful good means you follow the law and do good.
Right.
That's not really what lawful good is. Lawful good is I have a strict code about what I do. And my goal is to do good, which is why, and people get mad at me when I say this. That's why characters like the Joker and most Batman villains are lawful evil. They want to do evil,
but they have a code.
They have a code. It's like the Joker can't just kill you.
That's a very different perspective on what the word lawful means. It's not generic general law, it's personal law.
Yeah, it's a code. It's a set of rules. If you have this set of rules, you are lawful. If you have a rule you cannot break, that's what makes you lawful. That's why, like, traditional lawful good characters get caught up in their vows and their promises.
Like those infernal bards that want to just ruin any fun you want to have on a campaign.
Exactly. And it's just, when you have these rules, that is what binds you. If you have a thing that binds you, that is what makes you lawful. Whereas which means the rules are what binds you and the outcome is what defines you. Whereas on the chaotic end, the outcome is what defines you. And the rules are irrelevant. And the neutral, it basically means I make it up as I go along.
But the part that, and that makes all the sense in the world to me, and I think that's where I fall on the issue as well. But the question I have is the term good itself. Like, if you're doing bad to in the end up at good, is that still good?
Do you know how many silver-clad knights fought in the Crusades?
I don't.
Well, let's say a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the point. It's like, those guys certainly felt they were lawful good.
So the prison guards at Abu Ghraib also were lawful good?
Arguably, yeah. I mean, I'm not making a personal moral judgment.
No. But it's just the interpretation of the catalog.
Yeah, that's the thing. And likewise, for every person who blows up a building, as they follow the strictures of the religious perspective.
Yeah, that changes my whole perspective on lawful good. Lawful good is maybe the most dangerous type of
lawful good people can be dangerous. And the difference, the real difference between lawful good and lawful evil is?
Jesus, I haven't even begun to think about that. What?
It's that the evil person knows they're spreading evil, but they're spreading evil within their rules. The lawful good person really believes everything they do is for the greater good.
Jeez, Lou.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. You're going to tell anybody that's fighting a holy war that they're not on the side of God?
Yeah.
And this is where you can see where real goodness lies. And like what Abraham Lincoln once said, I don't know if we're on God's side. I really hope God is on ours,
Oh, wow. What a man.
I really hope what we're doing is what is for the good. I really have no idea.
No, I
You
think
know,
it's in the midst of that doubt that you can actually do any good,
well,
right?
exactly. I mean, that's why true good requires doubt, and it's like they said, the only truly good people are probably atheists because they don't know. Well, I would say agnostics because
Right.
atheists
There's a
know.
lot of mean atheists out there.
Yeah, well, but it's you have to have a certain amount of doubt to
Mm.
be good because doubt is what makes you say, "I'm just going to do this because this I think is what's right to do." I don't know if it's right, but you know what? I know something else I do might hurt someone.
Yeah.
And like if you go into the parable of the goats and the sheep, and and I always forget who are the goats and who are the sheep in that one, but I always want to say it's
Goats go to heaven,
yeah,
sheep go to hell. That's a Catholic
exactly.
song. That's the only
I
reason
mean,
I know that.
I mean that might be the case, and I think that might is the case because the idea is that the guy's saying, like, dude, because they say, well, you guys are all going to heck because when I was naked, you didn't clothe me. When I was thirsty, you didn't give me water. When I was hungry, you didn't feed me. And the people that were very righteous said, but when did I ever see you, Lord? And when did I ever not give you food if I had seen you? I don't remember when I saw you. And the other guy is saying, hey, look, I know you want to take us to heaven. And I'm not fighting you on that, but I don't think I ever met you before today. I know
But
I
the
never.
idea is I am in all of you.
Exactly. That's
So when you saw anybody in trouble, you saw me.
this is what I always say. This is why I always say you always have to think of Jesus as whoever is the most oppressed in your group, whoever is the most oppressed in society. So Jesus is gay, Jesus is trans, Jesus is black or white or purple, whatever you need to say, whatever in your group, that's the person who's being put out. That's who Jesus is, or any other take you want to have on it. That is who you want to give care to because the person because they're all your brothers and your sisters.
As an atheist, I'm
Uh,
a big fan of the message of Jesus.
yeah, everyone is. It's like Gandhi always said: Christ I like, Christians I don't like because they're not like Christ. You know, it's like if you're gonna be a Christian, you got to go all in, or you're just being me. But
Mm,
that's
mm. On
that's
that
my
note,
opinion.
let's start the show.
Let's start the show. But I'm glad we got that recorded because
Yes.
Phil loves all those tangentials. Okay.
I'm glad, because I love him too.
Mm. And starting up. Avast me hearties and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I be your Captain Charlie, the Professor. And with me, as always, is me skinny rich friend and first mate.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz. Welcome once again to the penultimate, take a drink, episode of Andor, which I forgot to pull up on my screen. So let me do this quick. MTP. What are you doing at me, robot? I hate when the computer doesn't cooperate. I am DB.
I'm just glad we don't have to deal with Clippy anymore.
You know what? I think Clippy, here's what I'm going to say, would be the hero of the age in a AI-driven, voice-directed world.
It was the first attempt at AI.
I know, and if we just gave the poor guy a chance, he might have really done well.
You know
Daughter
what?
of Ferrix.
Now I feel bad.
Well, as well you should, Mozz.
Perhaps, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
Andor Season 1, Episode 11, Daughter of Ferrix. A fugitive once more. Cassian must make his next move before it's too late. Our director this week is Benjamin Caron. Of course, we got based on Star Wars by Jorge Lucas. Written by this week is Tony Gilroy, who also got the created by. So it's all him this week. And of course, Diego Luna is our Cassian Andor. I do like him. He is such a good actor.
Oh my word.
And you know, I hate to say it, but I actually like him better than the guy who played guy who was in Moon Knight. What's his name?
Geez, why can't I think of it right now?
Yeah, I'm blinking on him too. But it's like, you know what? You got these swarthy, handsome men. I'm like, oh, which
that's
one
a tough one because he's been in so much amazing stuff.
I
Like Ex
know.
Machina, that performance is out of this world.
You know, yeah, I'm gonna say it, and maybe it's just because I'm a little white girl at heart. I love the accent. The accent just does it for me. It's that Ricky Ricardo all over again. I'm like, oh, Ricky.
Yeah.
Oh, Ricky, you're so fine.
And if you have not yet, anybody out there, do yourself a favor. And even if you haven't seen the Pablo Escobar years of Narcos, you don't need to skip it. There's a Colombian TV show that's a much better version of that show that you can go watch. It's called Pablo Escobar, El Patrón de Mal. Incredible, right? But Narcos Mexico with Diego Luna is unbelievable. And I had no idea who this guy was before, but I was blown away as a theater student, as an acting student. I was blown away by his work on that show, and I continue to be impressed in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Diego Luna, he's great in this. Although I will again say this is one of these great episodes where you do get the whole cast back together. And just seeing real quick here,
it almost seems like they're realigning everything for the final crescendo.
Oh yeah. Well,
remember this and remember this, remember this. Oh, it's all coming together.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac, yes.
Who is also a Star Wars heartthrob. But like I said, you know, and again, maybe it's also because, you know, Cassian Andor's a bit more working class. He's not a devil may care pilot, you know. You know, he's a hard scrabble guy living on Ferrix. And at least ostensibly, his mom dies this episode. You know, I'm a little mad at future that I have seen that the icon they have for the last episode is a hologram of his mom. So I know there's something, but right here, his mom is dead. But here's one of the things I love most about this is that the entire Ferrix culture has a death ritual. And that is amazing for a culture that I don't know if these people are native to Ferrix or how long they've lived on Ferrix. Because it's clearly also an eclectic group of species. There's not just one people on Ferrix. There's a lot of people on Ferrix, but they have a Ferrix culture that includes the beating on the metal and the doing all this stuff to communicate.
It's kind of like Brooklyn.
Yeah, well, you know, and much like Brooklyn, well, I don't know if much like Brooklyn,
but in the sense that disparate pieces of the world funded this place of humanity, right? And because of all of our different disparate cultures, we have our own culture that has been born out of this specific place.
Exactly, and what I will say about Ferrix is they have a death ritual, which is that you become cremated, you get mixed with the mortar, and you become a brick that is then used to build other things. And I find that to be both beautiful and heartbreaking and interesting in the idea that, oh, wow, this culture has its whole existence in this time frame that it has existed. And it is basically, you know, it is Ferrix. And Ferrix has come to this understanding that, oh, yeah, while we're here, we have to bury our dead and live our lives as we work within whatever the economic structure of our world is, which is apparently bricks and steel and stone. And what's interesting about that is that none of those things are things you can eat, but they are what define them, which suggests that this is a culture that has evolved through trade. And the whole planet of Ferrix is based off of this idea of interstellar travel and taking what we have here and sending it off there and having other things come here, which we then rend and build back to send out again. It's like the entire planet of Ferrix is about recycling in its most dark and weighty terms, you know, that everything is matter and we break it down and we build it back up. And that is the power of life, even in the inorganic. And I think that is such a beautiful and amazing idea that there's even language that when the droid is waiting for the mom to return, and the guy says, you know, she's in the bricks now, you know, it's like, it's beautiful. And I love the care that they give to the droid. You know, they're not going to let this poor droid just wander off. They're going to take care of this droid because this is her droid, and you know, it has a purpose in their lives.
They treated it like a puppy or a dog that was, you know,
yeah, or a very kind, slow-witted child. You know, waiting for someone to return. I mean, whatever it is who this droid is, and I think it's beautiful, and I do think that that's going to come back later in the last episode. I mean, I do think, like I said, I can piece the pieces together from what they're forcing me to experience. Meanwhile, back on whatever that planet was called, the prison planet where they escaped.
Oh yeah,
was it Arik 5?
I forget.
Yeah. Anyway, you know, honestly, they just throw letters at the wall and any of these things. And we see Cassian and one other guy from his crew as the only two left. Or maybe the only.
And that's the guy who always was trying to say, "Hey, we should not be okay with this." And Kino Loy always kept shutting him up. You keep your mouth shut, you know?
Yes.
And he's like, all right, fine, but you know I'm right.
Yeah, but, you know, I do like, you know, honestly, it is so hard watching them. They're on the mountain and they're hiding in their bright white and orange jumpsuits. Which, again, means no one's really looking. Because they're kind of obvious sticking out there, even against the gray rock. If they were really looking, because they're like, you know, all they have to do is like just slightly hide behind a rock, and they're like,
yeah, but like, I mean, what would be the bigger priority, looking for them or trying to restart the engine that takes 3 months to restart? You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's arguably, I guess, the larger point of it is like, you know, the Empire doesn't have time to look for a bunch of people who probably died swimming away.
Yeah.
Which is also just that reality. It's like, yeah, I mean, we get like 3 or 4 people wash up every day.
Yeah, like if I'm cooking and my spatula falls on the floor and I have a spare spatula sitting in my little tray there, I'm just gonna grab the new spatula.
Yeah. Oh, you don't just follow the 5-second rule?
No.
Just pick it up and wipe it on. That's what aprons are for, man. Can see the slight differences in the way that Mozz and I cook right now. Moving right along. I guess so. Sure, he wants to borrow my phone. So there you go. Play on the phone. Just make sure you plug it in when you're done. Anyway.
I think this is the episode where they proposed the marriage to Mon Mothma's daughter in the last one, right?
Right.
And or the introduction, not the marriage, but the introduction.
The introduction. I don't think we get any follow-up on that from this episode.
No. She was not about it. Mon was
No.
not about it.
Although there was something going on with the daughter where she's like in a cult now. I missed that a bit.
It's so funny. That aspect is so interesting to me that Mon Mothma has to maintain this image of the good, supporter of the Empire. And because of building that image in her home, her daughter has caught to it like a fever. And and she can't do anything about it. She has to let that be. It's another one of like, people don't think she's making sacrifices, but you see plain as day that she has to hold back every motherly instinct and watch her child go into a bad way. She can't do anything about it. And she has to hold herself closed off so nobody sees a chink in her armor. So it's so difficult to watch her walk that line.
But her cousin is like, what the F's going on?
I know, but you don't know. Just as she doesn't know what you're going through, you have no idea what she's going through. You have these rosy glasses ideas of what somebody is not dealing with, what you're dealing with, and you think they're not dealing with any struggle at all. It's unbelievably arrogant, and it speaks to the fact that she's a spoiled little brat playing revolutionary.
Well,
maybe not. Maybe I'm reacting too harshly, but
no. I mean, what it is, well, it's about, so, and that's maybe the deeper well of it, which is that we're all giving what we can for the cause, and we're all making our sacrifices as we can, but not everyone, oh man, sorry, is going to accept the same sacrifices. And we see that again when Stellan Skarsgård meets Saul Guerrera, and he basically tells him, yeah, no, that guy's gonna die on that raid. Don't go on that raid.
What's first is he went to Saul Guerrera first and tried to talk him into joining that raid, and so I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. And now finally, after like I don't know how long it's been, he's gone over, mulled the idea over, and he's like, you know what, Luthen, I'm on board. I believe in the cause. We are all one, right?
Yeah.
And then he has to, oh man.
Which makes me wonder if Saul Guerrera's knew more what was going on then.
Oh.
It's like, yeah. Maybe Saul's got his people on the inside too. That's just actually an interesting aspect of this. Everyone assumes they're the only people who have infiltrated things. But by the nature of a decentralized rebellion, it's it's sort of the old joke about Counter Intel Pro, which is that actually you wound up going to these meetings and everyone in the meeting was in Counter Intel Pro. Do you know what Counter Intel Pro is? Okay, so this was something that was done in the 60s by the FBI to infiltrate radical groups, civil rights groups, communist groups that didn't like the status quo, and they would send FBI agents to integrate into the groups to basically do spying and do espionage. But you would find situations where, as they're trying to radicalize the groups, suddenly someone realizes that, wait a minute, we have 4 people in this group all trying to radicalize each other, and the only people they're talking to is each other. Because like someone goes, I think we should blow up the Pentagon. Why, I think that's a great idea. What do you think? Well, goodness, I guess I'm in. And that's how decentralized spycraft can work. This is always my big thing about conspiracy. Most conspiracies are dumb because people are dumb. And you are going to have lots of people that are going to infiltrate at all levels. And for what it's worth, taking this all the way back to the first episode, all of those people that were working for the corporation, for the corporate security, they all got jobs, some of them nice, cushy jobs in the Empire. And so all that incompetence found other places to work. Because that's the thing. They're still willing to work. They're still believers in the cause. They're not going to just throw that guy out just because they completely blew up an entire raid. And this is the basic problem with any system, is that you have to have people in the system to run it, and people are stupid. Persons are smart. People, in the aggregate, are stupid. And I say that as a proud people who has been more than stupid on many occasions myself. That's the thing. You have to be able to own it to really talk about it. If you think you're not one of the dumb people, you're probably the dumbest. That's sort of my rule on being
the only way you can see dumbness in other people is because you recognize having been there yourself, right?
Exactly.
Like, I know what that is. Oh man.
Yeah. I remember when I made that mistake.
Yeah.
And that makes for a better world when you can know it and embrace it and understand it and move beyond it.
Indeed.
Okay, so we got Cassian getting captured by the fishermen, which I do like, because those two fishermen seem like they're different species. But again, much like Ferrix, you get the idea that just like there's certain people that have lived here long enough that this is their place.
Yeah. You thought they were different species?
Oh yeah, because one guy clearly looked like a sumo wrestler, and the other guy looked like a walrus.
Interesting. I just thought they were like different people of the same species, because they had the same general shape, but
they had the same general shape. But one clearly had a humanoid face, the other one had a walrus face.
Oh, yeah, no, that's true. That is true.
So I kind of figured.
You're right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I mean, maybe that's male and female of the species. Maybe that's what it was. And one of them was.
Would that be unfortunate? But who am I to say?
Not for them, man. That's fine. You got to get yourself a woman with a knife hand. That's all I'm saying, my friend. I mean, if that's where they're at, that's cool. And like, if that's the normalcy, that's always that thing that's like always weird to me. Is like Hutts aren't interested in Twi'leks or humans or any mammals. They have them there because they know that provokes Twi'leks and other mammals. Like mammals think that's weirdly hot, whereas that is effectively an octopus woman to the Hutts. I'm not saying that Hutts aren't into that. There may be like, oh, I love the bony ones, but I would just say that's at best a fun fetish that we don't talk about, and that honestly, you don't bring that home. Like all of the Hutts, like slave people, that's just to rile up the mammals. Rile up the bipeds. They get really possessive about their women. So you put their women in a thing and make them dance. The bipeds don't like it. But you know what? When you're a Hutt and you're trying to maintain control, they're like, you know what? You want to send your daughter or wife up here to be in here? That can happen too, because I'm a freaking Hutt and I do what I want. But like Hutts, like themselves, that would be like really weird to them. It's like, and probably more to the Hutt. It's more like the drug dealer who has the shark's fish tank. It's just it's like, look what I got. I got one of these things. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Mike Tyson had gorillas and tigers. Pablo Escobar released a family of hippos that's still breeding in Brazil, in Colombia.
I love those hippos. I want those hippos to take over the world. Those are, I know it's not right to like invasive species, but invasive hippos, how can you not love them?
I mean,
they're bad for part of the environment, but there's probably other parts of the environment they're going to love the hippos.
You know, they get hippos get a lot of love. Not that they aren't adorable and whatnot, but they do kill more people than lions and sharks combined, and
Yeah.
nobody ever pays attention to that fact.
Well, yeah, but here's what I'm gonna say: if you're getting killed by a hippo, why
It's
are you
probably your
going
fault.
to a hippo? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
and it's kind of like when people get killed by alligators because they go down to the river to pet the alligators.
Yeah.
It's like, don't pet the alligators, don't pet the hippos.
Mm.
It's not like bears, because bears will come into your house. Bears like the one thing, you got food in there? It's like, no, we have trash out there. Eat the trash. I've already eaten the trash. What you got inside? That's bears. Okay. Moving right along. Where were we? So the fisher people have captured Andor and his friend. And what I have to imagine are the most uncomfortable nets ever. Because they seem to be just wet, mucousy nets. And I wonder what those are actually meant to trap. Because you can see they were dry when they got there. They are soaking wet when they come out of it.
Yeah.
But
Maybe it works differently underwater.
Possibly, I don't know, but I love the entire conversation that the walrus one has.
Yeah, I found it a little strange that he let them go. That was a little odd to me.
Oh, he doesn't just let them go; he takes them with him.
Convenient.
Well, it's convenient, but it's because and maybe this is the deeper meaning of it. As I said, these are probably, assuming it's not just a male and female, these are probably two completely separate species. Probably neither is really native to this land, but they've both their species have lived on this planet long enough that they know of a time before the Empire coming in and building prisons here. And when they realize this guy's a prisoner, and at once it's like, we're not with them. We were being held captive there. It's like, well, but you're still one of them. It's like, don't act like you aren't part of the problem, because it's not like, because that's really the thing. It's like saying, well, I was captured by the Empire and sent here. It's like, yeah, but everything the Empire has taken from our planet, everything the Empire has done, you benefited from that, didn't you? Being one of the people under the rule of the Empire.
Right. Before you got caught, you were living in the world provided by the Empire. And his argument is not by choice, man. I mean, you as well are living in a world provided by the Empire.
Yeah. And that's the complexity of the geopolitics of the Empire. Although there's actually one thing that I've really kind of come to realize about the Empire and about the perceived inefficiency of it. And just this idea that everyone knows about Cassian Andor, but no one can find him even when he's in the system. And I realized
not even where he shows up when you thought and where you thought he was going to show up.
Yeah, but what I found fascinating, but I realized, this is a galaxy-wide empire. Do you know how many data points are in the system that looks for Cassian Andor?
Right. But at the same time, they know his mother passed away.
Oh,
they know that's where he's going. Like, there's no ambiguity about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, they know that, and they do, and they seem to be preparing for that. In fact, even our freaking friend at the Ministry, who gets his. I love when his chubby friend calls him from the Foundry, and he's, God bless him, he's working his day, man. He's doing his 9 to 5. This is as good as anything, and he's still serving the Empire in his own way. He's happy to be there, and he gives him the call. Although I do find it interesting that I couldn't tell if his mom was trying to screw up the call or if that was him trying to tune it in better. Because you see, like, the delicate hands moving as the friend is talking, and at one point I'm thinking, is that the mom trying to screw it up, or is that him trying to tune it in? And I realized that both answers could be correct and true, because I could absolutely see his mother not being cool with him going back to all of this nonsense. that he has managed to thread the needle and get a promotion and be in a solid spot finally after all of his folderol. And now his idiot fat friend is calling him in the middle of the night to get him to go on one last adventure, man. Cassian Andor's mom died. He's gonna come back. And but we see he steals the money from her night drawer, which is a nice reference to. And again, I feel like I don't know how I feel about that. No, yeah, Cassian just put all of his money above the shower, and just no one checked. Because it wasn't even that it was that well hidden. And that there's completely other people have come checked in and out of this hotel. Mozz says, hey, what is that up on top of the shower? It's like,
Yeah.
someone would notice. But yeah, that's all of it. Those are all of his credits. So he gets his credits, gives his friends the credits, who then their friend actually says, let's split up. And he's like, yeah, that sounds cool, man. I'm sure I'll see you in a sequel.
Yeah.
You who want to go spread the revolution, I'm sure that's going to work out great for you.
That just sounded like an excuse.
Yeah.
That guy to me was a mirror for the same guy he ran into when they were planning the attack on the bank, or the money.
You mean the criminal one or the
criminal one, the one who wanted to sell everybody out and take the money? He was an opportunistic guy. He had no lawful code.
Oh, I actually see, and again, this is where we'll disagree. I thought it was the exact opposite. I thought that he was the guy who really felt, we've got to do something. We've got to tell the world. And if we stay together, it's going to work against us, because they'll be looking for the two of us together.
To me, that was a convenient excuse that he would think would play well. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna go spread the word over there. He's not going to spread no word. He's gonna rob somebody and end up at the local brothel. That's where that guy is going.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if he's in the sequel, Mozz. But yeah, so I think the way we end this, with Cassian trying to call home to his mom, and he gets the answer. Your mom is dead. And I wonder about that. Like, was that the right answer, or should they have said, "I'll tell her"? It's like, because he's like, I won't be able to get there anytime soon. And maybe it would have been better to just let him think his mom was okay and let him just be an absentee son for a while and not have him come back. But, I guess, maybe, and that's the thing is, like, his mom is already dead. They've already had this funeral. Who knows when Cassian's going to come back, if Cassian's even alive.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like it's everyone's assuming that Cassian's
I feel
alive.
like you gotta tell him. He has to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I on some level I agree, but on some level I wonder. I wonder if I was that guy.
Perhaps, like, for the trajectory of his life, maybe it probably wouldn't been a good idea. But at the same time, all that be damned, you should know.
Yeah. I mean,
And whether or not you want to deal with the danger and the consequences that come from coming back, that should be your decision.
Yeah, I guess on some level, what my thought is he's got warrants.
Yeah.
And that's probably going to make him come really quick, which doesn't make any sense, because what's he going to do? He's going to come to see her brick, because she's already been bricked. She's gone. This is not like, her funeral's next Tuesday.
No, but it's at the same time, how are you going to walk through the rest of the years of your life knowing that you missed that you didn't even try to make it, right? It's just to give
but
you.
No, but the point is he already missed it.
That I got
He missed it. He missed it because he was in prison.
Right. No. I understand. But whatever you can do, that when you could, you did show up there, you paid your respects, and you absolve your soul of that responsibility. right?
Yeah.
To know that somebody robbed you of that moment would infuriate me to no end.
I mean, she'll be just as much a prick in 2 years as she is
I know,
today.
but try telling yourself that when you know you didn't show up for your mom's funeral. Somebody can give you all the justifications in the world, but you know deep in the heart of your core that you didn't go, right? And
Yeah.
that'll eat you up.
You
And
know,
you would wish that you would have come and life would have ended for you there, right? I don't
yeah.
know. I feel like I gotta let you make that. I wouldn't want to be the person that didn't tell you.
Mhm. Fair enough, Mozzie. Fair
I don't know,
enough.
but that's just me.
No, you're right. You're right. I mean, I can understand both. I can understand both sides. I
Yeah.
just like from a narrative perspective, it's like this. It's like from my perspective as the guy who realizes that, and not for nothing, let's all things outside of it, because not everyone knows exactly what Cassian's been up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't know that he stole the payroll or whatever. On some level, this is a lady you respected's near to well son calling up again. Hey, yeah, I just wanted to know I'm okay. And that he just wants her to know he's okay. I said, I'll be by as soon as I can. It's like, okay, when you can. There's no rush, because the near to well son showing up. We'll say, yeah, unfortunately, she died while you were gone. And when it says, well, when did she die? It says, well, this time. And it's like that was when you were in prison anyway. So why didn't anyone tell me? It's like, well, because quite frankly, you have warrants out for you, man. We didn't want you coming to a place where everyone knew you would be when there was nothing you could do. And that's if anyone even asks him. But it's a complex question, and
I don't think he was a ne'er-do-well son.
he was a ne'er-do-well. Now, whether or not she thought he was a ne'er-do-well, that's up for debate.
No,
Because she was kind
the
of a
world
ne'er-do-well herself.
surrounding him is ne'er-do-well, right? So like he's doing the best he can. I don't know. I
Yeah.
didn't consider him a ne'er-do-well.
Well, I know. Well, and I guess what one
Well,
can say
in the world that he's surrounded by, doing well is not a good look either. You know what I mean? A ne'er-do-well is what you need when the world is not well. No?
yeah. Well, I guess, and this goes back to the basic start of it, which was that the Empire wasn't here before Cassian decided to cause a lot of trouble.
I mean, they weren't focusing on it, but they made sure you knew they were there.
That's the thing.
But
There's lots of
you're right.
ways you
I
can
am
look at
surprised
this.
at the amount of support Cassian always receives. Meanwhile, he brings so much hell upon their society. But
Yeah.
every single person is like, oh, all right, fine, come on. They're always will, and that speaks to sort of like the strong bonds in their community. Even though when they were angry or when they didn't, they still had an obligation to each other. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, that is beautiful, and that is what is good about the whole thing. I mean, and that's what's good about Andor is like everyone knows at the end of the day Andor means well. And he's good at what he does, and he's not a bad person, and all he really wants to do is what's best for everyone. So good for Andor. All right, Mozzie, any final thoughts on tonight's show?
We should also mention Luthen's altercation with the Empire and how he completely takes them off guard, and they didn't see that coming at all.
And does his ship have freaking red lightsabers just shooting out of it? Just totally. And here's what I'm
And
gonna
a
say.
warp engine that starts pulling their ship. It reminded me of the time where Captain America almost lifted Thor's hammer. The look on their face like, whoa, what is this? That thing moved. It's not supposed to move.
I know. Well, I just love when he just like injects all the rocks at the tractor beam.
Yes.
That like completely decimate the entire tractor array.
He made the tractor beam pull, and he pulled and pulled and pulled like a slingshot, let those things go, and destroys it. So beautiful.
It's but this is why everyone's like, oh, he must have been a Jedi. He is, and you do see. I don't know if this is the first time you see it or the second time you see it, but you do see that he's got the hilt that he carries with him.
Mm,
Is like, what's this hilt for? It's like,
interesting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because you know he's
And
got
he's
the
had
kyber
little
crystal in it.
lightsabers coming out of the sides of his plane.
Yes. But the red ones, which are the color of the Sith.
Because they believe that.
Yeah, because he
Mm.
is willing to use the dark side
Oh, man,
for
like
good.
I want to be on his side, and he's charming as all get out, and he seems to be for the cause, and you want to be for the cause, but like occasionally start straying, and you're like, man, I don't know. And then you're right, the red lightsabers, it's not a good sign, man.
Well, but what he is he is a person willing to, because again, he is lawful good. And I guess maybe he's not lawful good. He is maybe he is chaotic good. And chaotic good says, I will use any means necessary to achieve goodness.
Right.
And if that means I've got to be a Sith to defeat the Sith,
Right. That's
yes,
the
I'm a
point he
Sith.
made in the last episode. I already sold my humanity. I have none
Exactly.
left, simply so you guys can keep yours.
Exactly.
You don't
And
have to
that's
make the
the idea.
decisions that I have to make.
So yeah, so he
Oh.
is his own Sith master now.
I know, but that's so dangerous, man.
Well, no, but that's the thing. It's like if you embrace the Sith, if you embrace the power of the Sith, but hold nothing for the Sith's ways. It's like, I don't do this for my glory. I don't do this to gain my thing. I just wanna cause as much pain and suffering to you.
Right. To birth a sunrise that I'll never see, or however he said it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's who he is, man. And honestly, as a one of the things I think about the modern Star Wars, and much like New Trek, it's like they're redefining what was once meant to be these hard canonical rules. And now they're saying, well, you know what? It's actually a little more complex than that. It's a little more nuanced than that. And it's not just that, oh, you know what? The Jedi are good and the Sith are bad. It's like, no, it's the Force. The Force feeds on these different emotions and these different qualities. And energy is energy, and energy is what you do with it. And if you feed the darkness, but just so you can do good, is that the light side or the dark side of the Force? And the answer is the Force don't care. The Force don't care. The Force is the Force. And
right.
it's
your
like,
labels of Jedi or Sith don't matter. You're both users of the Force.
Exactly. And the Force is going to do what the Force wants. And the Force just wants to flow.
And you're going to do what you want, regardless of what you call yourself.
Exactly. Which is why the Jedi got corrupt. And every so often, the Sith turns away from the darkness.
Yeah, so I mean, like, that's the great thing about being the Sith. You can't be corrupted. You know, how
Well,
much
you
more
can be
corrupted
corrupted by the light.
Fair enough.
And suddenly,
But how
your
rarely does that happen?
lawfulness, you start to question your lawful Sithness. And it's like, because again, as a Sith, you are lawful evil.
Right.
You are serving the dark side of the Force and all of the darkness of the anger and hate that feeds the Force to gain the power. Even if you are as positive in the use of that as you want to be, that is lawful. The Sith are lawful. The Jedi are lawful, just with different books.
Yeah.
To define their lawfulness. But then then you have an Ashoka who says, I don't like books. And I'm going to follow the way of the Force and hopefully find a better way. Which is what Rey did at the end of Rise of the Skywalker, and that's why she's a Skywalker, not a Jedi, man. So I did hear a recent theory that Grogu was birthed from the Force in the same way Anakin was, which was so that basically they would each be on the opposite sides of it. That if a power rises on the dark side, another power must rise on the light side. And that may be why Grogu is sometimes a little bit dark side, because sometimes Anakin remembers his light side, and they sort of are in this constant orbit between each other. Okay, Mozzie. Well, actually, first off, let me just say first off, if you like this show and you want to talk to us about the show, you can write to us at CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. You can go down to our link tree, which is linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics. You can find our merch, like our cool t-shirts, which fit even fat men like myself. Links to our shows, etc. There's a phone number you can call, which is I forget the number, but it's 382-38-CAPES. So 38 capes, right? Put that into your phone. It's 382 something.
One number we're missing.
Yeah. I don't know.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, it's somewhere. You know what? Go to that link tree. It'll be there. Anyway, and then when they're done with that, they just want to talk to Mozz himself, by himself, away from the nonsense, and say, Mozz, what can you tell us? What is the truth of the universe?
Oh, don't expect a nonsense-free zone when you talk just to me. But just say if you would prefer to join the nonsense, it's you can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. You can try to look for me on MySpace. You might find me there as well. I think I might transition back to MySpace just to make things simpler.
I am actually, I know that they deleted all of our MySpaces a while ago. They did, man.
How dare they?
Dude, they sent you an email. I went back and I found my some long lost images of my kids when they were very young.
And now they're gone?
No, MySpace is still there.
No, but my MySpace is gone?
Unless you re-update it might be. I don't know, man.
Oh.
You have to search for it, man. I'm sorry. Sorry I had to break the news to you, Mozz. MySpace restructured themselves, and they said, man, we are holding all these people's photos from not for nothing, Mozzie, 30 years ago. Well, 20 years ago, something. It's man, none of these people are coming there anymore. And they sent out an email a while ago, and they said, hey, man, you had a MySpace. We're going to just clear our servers, so just come visit your page, get anything you need, but we're clearing the servers. And but MySpace still exists, and I encourage everyone to go tomorrow, go to MySpace, rebuild your MySpace page, because it is a thing. And MySpace was always nice.
Yeah.
The problem with MySpace
on your page.
Well, the thing is MySpace was a personal page.
Right. There was no
and it was about building your space.
Right.
Rather than interacting with everyone else. But everyone that was on MySpace could interact with your page, and you could talk to each other that way. But, that was MySpace. And then Facebook was about, here is the place where everyone sends all their messages and everyone can see everything. And it's a different experience.
Yeah, it's like show up in this one little square and then everybody yell at each other.
Well, or just people share cat videos, man. It's like, this is the thing. You get what you put out into. Most of my Facebook is honestly just Star Trek memes. And because that's what I like. And I say, I like Star Trek memes. I like Star Wars memes. I like superhero memes. I like my friends and my family. And all of my family who were very Nazi-ish, I said, let's just take a break. And they let you say, let's just pause cousin Fred for a couple of months and let cousin Fred be in his own world. Because I do think I'll say this. I do think the algorithm at Facebook does work well. You just have to feed it. It's like anything. You have to feed the wolf. There are two algorithms inside you, Mozz.
I don't think
algorithm feeds on anger. The other feeds on love.
No, I think there is an intentful impetus to not just show you what you want to see, but to show you what's convenient for the powers that be for you to see. to be emotionally moved in whatever direction they want you to move.
Well, no, I guess this is where I'll disagree, because I think that is, and this was my point about the Empire. The Empire is covering a galaxy. They do not have time to find one Cassian Andor.
No,
in
no.
entire-
But you
no,
fit
no,
the
no, no, no,
profile
no,
for
no.
a
But
billion
this is what
other
I'm saying.
people.
No, Mozz. Here's what I'm saying. It doesn't serve Facebook's purpose to push you in a certain direction.
It doesn't.
Not really. Not if it doesn't. Not if it doesn't turn a profit.
But
And the-
what if it does? What if somebody's willing to pay you to swing people?
Then you push the button that says, "I don't like this ad."
Well,
So-
yeah. But you have to do that.
You have to do that, sure. And that's the thing is,
No, but I'm just saying, looking at Cambridge Analytica and them taking Facebook data and blah blah blah, you know, and then you look at stuff like
and
Twitter,
that's the thing.
and FBI is saying what you can and can't see and what stories should be shared.
Well,
and whatnot. So I refuse to think that the algorithm is not aimed in a certain direction.
Again, Mozz, I'm just going to be honest with you here. What I can tell you about, and this is what here's what I'm going to say. I'm not going to say that there aren't people that wish that you could do that.
No, but then
I'm just saying that the idea that
all
they
the
can do that is
psychological
a different.
research that Facebook is doing, they have whole teams of psychologists that saying, well, okay, if we presented this information this way, I wonder if we fed more news stories like this to people, what would the effect be? That
was a story that
behavioral
so
research
Mozz again, yes, again,
than there is at universities.
Well, no, Mozz, that's not quite the story that.
You know anywhere else that can have the sample size to do research that Facebook can?
And okay, so Mozz, to backtrack, effectively, what you're discussing, discussing several scandals that Facebook went through a couple of years ago, which was basically someone realized what you just said. Wow, that is a huge sample size, and a bunch of universities said, with the psych departments, came and said, "Hey, can we look at all of your data to determine what people click on and things like that?" And Facebook said, "Sure, why not, man? Sounds
No.
cool."
What I'm talking about is a very different thing. There is a whole.
No, what you're talking about is a conspiracy theory.
No. Don't put words in my mouth because it's gonna
Okay.
be. But what I am saying is that there are people at Facebook whose job is to do psychological research on people, and they do different things to see how people react to this, how people react to that, and the goal is where we can get the most money for advertisers from.
Well, again, Mozz, you're conflating two different aspects of it.
I don't think that I am. I think it's convenient for one argument to consider that maybe I am, but
Well, no, but what I'm saying is, so here's what I'm going to say: everyone on Madison Avenue wants you to buy something. Most likely, it is tampons or pet food
or votes.
There is not as much money in votes as you think.
Oh.
No. There is money. So let me explain to you how political spending works, because it's a very different marketing. I studied some marketing, so I'm going to give you my layman's opinion. Political capital is different because we live in a democracy, which, granted, many people are trying to change, and you can make a certain Colonel Smedley argument about that. And you know who Colonel Smedley is, right? Okay, so Colonel Smedley was a guy who was approached by some powerful people to stage a revolution, I think in the 1930s, to overthrow I want to say it was FDR, and they were going to establish a fascist junta in the United States. And Colonel Smedley was approached, but being the patriot he turned in the people, and it all went away, as things do. And the reality is, and Colonel Smedley was a noted Marine Corps general, but he also said, "I'm not going to betray my country."
Right. Meanwhile, Cambridge Analytica comes to Facebook and they're like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, but again, Maz, there's differences between influence and control. And this is the classic subliminal advertising bit. People want to believe that there's subliminal advertising. And as every person on Medicine Avenue ever told you, do you think if we could get you to buy dog food with a subliminal ad, we would be paying all these dogs?
No. But what they have is so much more powerful than subliminal messaging.
I will say, I think that is the fantasy. I don't think that's the reality. I think, much like AI, there is this idea of what it could be, and it's always the worst possibility. I don't think humans have cracked that code yet.
No, I think humans have a very easy time going to the worst possible scenario.
Oh yeah, humans always have the worst time.
That's
have the easiest time going to the worst possible scenario.
That's my point. You can always count on that, and especially when you.
But that doesn't mean it's right.
Education for 20 years, you leave people very, very prone.
But my point is, Mozz. My point is, Mozz, is that yes, people will always believe the worst case scenario. That doesn't mean the worst case scenario is right.
No, it doesn't mean it's right. But if you can convince people of the worst case scenario, they will buy and vote for the things that are convenient for the ones implementing those measures of deception.
And what I guess the counter argument is that when people actually purchase the product in the most recent elections, they actually said, we do not like this product.
Well, yeah, let's just see what 2024 brings,
Well, we'll see. We'll see. So far, it doesn't look so good, Mozz.
No, it doesn't.
But, I mean...
There's a lot of dumb people who are allowed to vote.
And everyone should be allowed to vote, Mozz.
Right. No, but that's where you get to the danger of this thing. Democracy is great when the rest of society is healthy. But if you've been able to sneak in and poison society, then democracy becomes a tool for evil.
Unless
I'm going too far. I've had a few of these, but the point I'm trying to make. Yes.
It's just you're only supposed to do it when we say penultimate. But my point is, Mozz, that much like the Empire and its rise and fall, and no doubt rise again, and when Disney realizes, hey, what's keeping the Empire from coming back? What's Grogu been up to now that he's not been tempered to the light side? What is Boba Grogu up to?
Some people would say we are the Empire.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, as far as incompetence goes, yes. And that's
not just yet, but just looking at like the palatial places that these people live in while everybody else suffers. If not us, then who else is the Empire?
And not for nothing, Mozz. I mean, I live in a lovely little apartment with my family, and we're doing well. We have lots of money, and our house is a mess, but that's because we don't clean. And that's a whole different set of factors. And yes, we do live in a glorious state at the expense of others, but we don't actively seek to cause harm. And at least I, with my vote, try to do good.
Right.
And I try to vote against people.
I wonder if this whole, but we have to cause harm if we want to continue living our lifestyle,
I don't think so. I actually don't think so. I think that here's what I'll say. If I have to eat more corn and less beef, and it costs a little more, and maybe I lose a little more weight, that's not the end of the world.
Right.
I think that there is plenty of Soylent Green to go around.
But that's the thing. That's the place I find myself in. I don't know if I can live in a world without Xboxes and triple screen movie theaters and whatnot. And if I am going to be a consumer of all that, then I should take responsibility for it and say, yeah, well, maybe
Yeah. Well, what it is it won't be that you can't live in that world. It's just that it'll be more expensive.
Or more
Or
inconvenient, right? But the only way you can have Xboxes and triple screen movie theaters is through oppression.
no, I think you could have all those things in a more egalitarian system. They would just be. You would just have.
I don't know. I don't know if we would ever develop Xboxes.
Well, I mean that's. Well, I mean that is your Ferengi conundrum, because the Ferengi were very mercantilely obsessed, but didn't develop their own warp drives. And the reason they didn't develop warp drives was actually expressly because they didn't have war. So they more efficiently found ways to exchange goods for profit.
Right.
And so they never really had the motivation of war and scarcity to drive them to the stars. And so eventually, they had all the technology to build warp drives, but no one actually had one. And then, my theory is that Mud sold them the warp drives, and just said, hey, you guys want some warp drives? You can go out and find other things. Like, oh, great. And then we can expand the empire. We can expand commerce. And I'm sure they're probably teetering on an economic collapse then, too. And, that's the thing. It's like all of these empires, all of these things, I don't think, here's the thing. I think it always comes back to the grapes of wrath, which is that the people continue. We, the people, continue. And there's going to be money grubbers and there's going to be kind-hearted people. You'll have your bleeding hearts and your stone hearts. But none of that matters, because at the end of the day, we, the people, the majority of the people, have to continue. And it doesn't matter who you are as a people. If you're a person, you're part of the people. And we got to continue on. And the best way to continue on is to work together, to care for each other, and to build a better universe.
It's the only thing that matters.
And if you'd like to write to me about that at some point, why don't you write me that old-fashioned email way, the way Mom and Pa Joe once did, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things when I feel like it, which I haven't recently, but maybe live TV will make a big comeback. @CharlieSSer. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality.
Quality.
Bing. Thank you, Mozz. I like the thing. All right, you filthy land lovers. Have to remember what show we're on. You come to the end of a very long and circuitous trip through the Sargassus of the internet's streaming services. Come again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead.
Yeah. All right. Man, that was a fun one.
Oh, that was always fun. These are always fun, honestly. I really enjoy talking to you. This is a real great excuse for me to really cut loose and have fun.
Yeah.
Have you seen the first episode of Willow yet?
Oh, I have not.
Okay.
I feel like I should go back, because I remember watching that movie when I was like 10.
Yeah.
And remember, like, I feel like I should watch the movie before I watch.
Okay. Well, go watch the movie.
Yeah.
Go watch the movie, then go watch the first episode. See if it's what you want to do, because we got to pick another episode. Because the next time we meet,
episode 12. What is there a new Marvel show coming soon, or is nothing on the horizon? Right.
I mean, the next Marvel thing I know of is what do you call it? Quantum Mania. That's not till February. So
and there's no movies coming out.
Well, that's the movie is Quantum Mania, and then and we can do something else if you don't want to. Look, man, if you don't want to do Widow, we can do something else.
No, I haven't seen it yet, but it's I'll check it. I'll check it out.
I'll say, and if you want, look, man, if there's anything you want to watch, want to do Rings of Power, you want to do the Games of Thrones thing,
no,
we can go back and do stuff
fraught with political. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't see the political in most of the things I do.
I don't know. All the conversations I hear, everybody talking about it is all political, and I want no part of it.
Oh well, that's because they made
Yeah.
they made the hobbits brown, and
Yeah, well, I don't know what it is, but like I just
yeah,
it's just I just rather would not engage in stuff
yeah.
that
Someone recently said that like what was that? Was Good Omens got like super woke and political?
mm,
I was trying to understand what they were talking about because it's like the two male leads of that are both white British dudes. And I guess like when you got to it, it was like that Adam and Eve were people of color. And it was like, I don't think they had any lines in the whole show. I don't think it's like they just like had two actors be like buff and naked and black and
yeah, anything that gets too far in that realm, it annoys me on one side or the other. Anytime somebody picks something up and uses it as a cudgel to beat the other side with them, like I want no part of it,
yeah, okay. I don't know. I liked Good Omens. I thought it was very funny.
What is Good Omens?
Oh, Good Omens. It was by Neil Gaiman and the guy that did the Flat
Oh,
World. Well, the Flat World. The everyone loves Terry Pratchett.
I don't
He
know.
does. So basically, have you ever read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so Terry Pratchett is like the fantasy version of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy,
Ah.
and he's very funny and very witty.
Ah.
And he's done several things, but he has another thing called Hogfather, and he really kind of hit the wave at just the right time, where all of his stuff got adapted, and all of his stuff has been really beloved. And Neil Gaiman worked on Good Omens with him, which was sort of it's kind of funny because Terry Pratchett is kind of out there in the same way that Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is sci-fi out there silly. He was sort of Game of Thrones, or not Game of Thrones, but like Tolkien kind of like fantasy world out there silly, where he said, well, what if everything silly about fantasy worlds was still a bureaucracy, and everyone had to work through it? Yeah. And so it's really Terry Pratchett is a beloved author in that sense, and Neil Gaiman sort of paired up with him and brought that whole goth aesthetic to it. And they did Good Omens, which is about the two angels that are sort of one angel and one demon who are on Earth, and they are dealing with the fact that the Antichrist has been born, and they're supposed to keep an eye on the Antichrist until his rise to power. But suddenly they realize that someone screwed up, and the Antichrist they've been watching all these years is not the actual Antichrist.
Oh my God.
It's you know what? I would
That
love
sounds
to
horrible.
revisit Good Omens if you want to. And look, that's the glory of Full Stream Ahead. We can literally do anything. We can do MST3K episodes if you want.
You know what I kind of wanted to get into, because I've heard a lot of good things about it, is The Expanse. But it's like they've got so many seasons already.
Yeah.
It's tough to jump in but it reminds me a lot of like the successor to what The Next Generation was.
Yeah. Well, so let me just say this. So my first vote is for Willow.
Okay.
Give it a shot. See what you think. If you like it, we can follow it. My second vote would be let's do Good Omens. Because the second season of Good Omens is going to come out eventually.
Oh, there's only one season so far. Oh, that's doable.
Yeah, and then and it's actually sort of like in production because it did so well. And then if there's something else you want to hit, I mean, we can do Prodigy from Star Trek if you want, which is actually kind of an interesting show. I haven't caught up on it as much as I will, but it is. Everyone says it's like the best show you're not watching kind of thing.
Is that the one with Picard, the new Picard show?
No,
that's called
Prodigy
Picard.
is the one with Janeway.
Ah,
And it's the cartoon of the kids who steal a Federation ship from like a junk planet, and it's their journey back to
hood rat stuff with their hood rat friends.
Yeah, basically, it's well, because it's sort of like, and I guess at the start of it, you don't know what they're doing.
Oh wow!
Until the first half of the season, it's them just on the run from the basically junker evil slaver lords, and then they actually make contact with the Federation,
Hmm.
and then the second half is them sort of navigating what they want to do as these pirate kids who are kind of enamored of the Federation, but maybe don't want to join the Federation. So I don't know. I haven't been watching it as much as I wanted to. I really enjoyed the first couple of episodes, but
What's this called?
Prodigy, Star Trek
Prodigy.
Prodigy.
And
So
it's
that's on Paramount.
Paramount. Oh, I have Paramount.
Yes, that's on Paramount. So Paramount is Prodigy. Willow is Disney. And what was the other one? Good Omens is Amazon.
Okay, I have all those.
Yes. And I don't think I'm trying to think if there's something on Netflix.
I mean, if you talk about Neil Gaiman.
Oh, and then there's if you really want to have fun, there is Welcome to Chippendales on Hulu.
You know what? I've been hearing a lot of good things about it, and I'm a huge Kumail Nanjiani fan. I've been wanting to check that show out. Might be hard because that's a super like adult show.
Well, we can
I guess we can manage our language enough to talk about it in a.
I don't find the need to swear just because I see a breastises doesn't mean I have to use a vulgar term. And there actually aren't any vulgar breastises in it. It's mostly.
Well, I don't know. I just know the show is about a strip club, so I imagine it's going to be relatively vulgar. So.
You'd be surprised.
Oh, okay. No, I haven't seen a single episode, but I've been meaning to check that show out hardcore.
So Mozz, your mission, if you choose to accept it, watch some Good Omens, watch some Welcome to Chippendales, watch Prodigy, watch Willow, because that was our first choice.
Right.
And watch something else, and just let me know what really makes you want to keep on talking about this show. But I'm now the other thing I will say about Welcome to Chippendales, I think they are hour-long episodes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hour-long meaning 40 minutes, right? Relatively speaking.
Yeah, with commercials, I suppose. So pick a show and then we'll watch it and we'll do it as our next one.
Sounds like a plan.
After the final episode. Okay. Hey, Mozzie, I will talk to you soon.
All right, man. Have a great night.
You too.
Dog.
Good night.